Hey there, YouTubers. This is Anthony Green coming at you with an episode of Politics with Anthony Green. It's been a while since my last upload, but things have completely changed in my life. First, I wanted to apologize for not posting to the 4 people that have subscribed to my channel. We moved to a new location. My wife and I, we recently had a baby. You may hear her in the in this video, since I do this shooting by the hip style, but yeah, I've come just to pretty much have a chat after work today with you guys about the Me Too movement. For some of the folks on my Facebook feed, for my private Facebook, you guys have probably realized I've been very vocal about it, and I just wanted to get with the recent things that came out about Aziz. I just wanted to get some things off of my chest because this movement is in jeopardy of dying, and surprise, surprise, I actually don't want it to die. This is pretty much what I've been posting and ranting about with the whole thing that went down with Senator Franken about how the movement might go a little bit too far, but I digress. Let's get to this point, these points eventually. So the first thing was, I want you to know, I was a fan of the Me Too movement, but some of the things and rhetoric that I heard from people during the movement at the start 3 months ago and until now has really soured me on it. The first thing was, and it took me a while to figure this out, and I do apologize to my feminist friends, but the movement was literally just women versus men only, and I wasn't aware of that at the start. And there'll be a revelation as to why. I've lost a couple people. One in particular I definitely know of, that I went to college with, because of my stance on why it's wrong for women to just attack men on this. And I've probably angered a few of my feminist friends as well too. During the process, I was told about how insensitive I was over this, that in short, for me to relate it to Black Lives Matter, it's like when I say, not all men, it's like people saying at Black Lives Matter, well, all lives matter. Well, in later videos, you're going to find something interesting that that my position has sort of kind of changed on that. But at the same time, I just want to go out on a limb and say something. What bothered me the most about Me Too is that by encompassing women only, it fails to neglect molestation, sexual harassment and stuff as an entire collective. And I think personally you can affect a hell of a lot more change if you think about the entire picture versus just one specific segment of the group. Women are harassed by women. That is the truth. Men are harassed by women. Men are harassed by men as well too. Transgender people are harassed by men and women. And at the time when I was making my statements, that was what I was getting at. I care about everybody. I definitely care about women too. But let's go back to the Black Lives Matter thing. The one thing a lot of folks don't realize is that when there was a cop shooting of a Black police officer, Latino police officer, whatever the race of the Latino or the police officer was, and the person that was shot was Hispanic or white, Black Lives Matter actually tweeted out against it too. Now, you could say what you want about that organization, and like I said, I'll address why I've personally kind of changed and moved a little bit towards all lives matter. And it's not as horrible as people are going to think. It's just because I've had the opportunity to talk to more people, and I kind of understand where people are coming from on the social justice scale. But I still do believe that, there's a problem, but I'm not going to call out all cops. But not different video, sorry. But the fact of the matter is the fact that these folks with such a centralized viewpoint would actually reach on out to the affected community and say, hey, listen, white kid that got shot, that was wrong. He shouldn't have got shot. Kind of deflates the argument of Me Too. When I see my guy friends post about how they were raped, molested, or hurt, and I see some woman who's a feminist jump down their throat and tell them that this isn't about them, to shut the fuck up, you're damn right it's going to change my entire perspective. And now it gets to another point. I'm passionate about it because I'm actually a victim myself. You know, to a guy I went to college with, I'm sorry I don't remember your name right now, when we were talking about our friend, and I had a friend that when I took my stance on a post, pretty much told me to shut the fuck up, and I just told her flat out. I immediately did not read anything else you had to say, because you know, you didn't even try to engage me civil with any civility, which I had been doing the entire time. And your first thing is, I need to shut the fuck up and just listen to you. I'm not sure you were aware of that. She was a rape victim, and I was blasted for not listening to a rape victim's viewpoint. I'm an assault victim myself. When I was in the 4th grade, I had a teacher that was my we didn't have block periods. He was everything. And this is when I was at Pershing, for those of you who know me. And then a lot of you guys might not be aware of this. My dad and my mother were not together, and I was living with my dad. And my dad was in a rough spot because he had to go to work, and he had me for daycare after school, but before school I would go to just eat my breakfast, get dressed, walk myself right across the street. My school was literally across the street. Up to the 4th grade, I've been a straight A student. And this teacher used to call me to the front of the room, and she would lift up my shirt and look down my shirt and things like that. And you know, just as she said, to make sure I was wearing an undershirt, because I was a kid. I was dressing myself. I would just throw on a hoodie or something like that and just go to school, not realizing what was what. But then I realized what was up, because I wasn't a freaking idiot, and I started dressing a little bit properly, and I would get held back for recess. And she would pull my pants open and look down and put her hands in my pants, and she would put her hands on my chest and stuff like that, and touch me. You know, here I am, a fourth grade boy. She would touch me in improper places, and I mentally shut that out. And it wasn't until years later that I didn't realize that I'd been molested. But I was telling my wife about a time that happened 1 year later when I was in the 5th grade. I used to be a really big guy into science. I loved aviation. And my father and I, we sat down and we had the science fair coming up. And I've always wanted to win the science fair. And this teacher, this 4th grade teacher, had retired. And my dad and I came up with this really awesome experiment that, lo and behold, this lady didn't know, but I went to an aeronautics camp, and it was pretty much a modified experiment of what we did there, which was to see the different types of flight with wings. I designed 3 different wings, put it on a scale, had a fan blow on the wings to see which one generated the most lift. The science fair comes up, and there was 3 judges. She happened to be one of them. The first 2 judges aced my project. She failed me. She fucking failed me. And I was telling my wife about this, and then I started breaking down crying, and she was just like, dude, it's not that serious, you know. And then I told her what she did to me, and it's fucked up. So when I hear Me Too tell people to shut the fuck up, they tell me to shut the fuck up. And it's telling me that, like, these people don't actually really care about what happens to young children. That's why I've been so critical against this movement. You know, for me, I want there to be an open, real dialogue about all this stuff. I really want us to come up with the standards and a system of protection to prevent things to happen to, like, kids like me, or things to happen like a buddy of mine who was date raped when he was inebriated, or things to happen like what happened to my friend that won't speak to me anymore. I want to stop. I want to have a system where we really truly have an open dialogue and we solve this problem instead of just sitting back and pointing fingers. By getting all men to admit that they're misogynistic, what does that solve? Here, I'm gonna flip the script. If I were to get all people in the world to admit that they had some prejudice towards black people, does that solve the prejudice towards black people? No, it doesn't. Because we don't come to the underlying roots as to why people have these prejudices and what can both sides do to come together to prevent this from happening. And the big problem with feminism right now is that we're not having the dialogue as to what both sides can do to stop this from happening. Right now, the way that it's going down, it's almost as if women are being treated as snowflakes. With the Aziz Ansari, excuse me for murdering his name, but with his recent thing that happened, you got to come to question and you got to say, when are we going to tell women, or when is it going to be okay for women to realize that they can say no, that they cannot go on to an elevator up to somebody's house, that they don't have to put a dick in their mouth, excuse my French. But like, you can't sit back and continue to point the finger at men without there being any form of accountability. Now listen, I want to clear this up right now before my comment sections or my personal message sections just gets blown up. Rape is horrible. I'm 1,000% against any form of rape whatsoever, be it man versus man, woman versus woman, man versus woman, woman versus man, trans versus whatever identity of whatever identity is being done. Rape is wrong. Harassment is wrong. These things, there's no excuse whatsoever. But as a society, we got to come together and say, hey, listen, there are, this is not an essence of rape. This is not an essence of harassment. This is not an essence of XYZ, someone trying to coerce someone into having sexual relationships for promotions and stuff. I think what we really have to do is have a full definition of what consent is. To me, consent is when you say that you want to do something. And that's it. And I'm willing to go ahead and admit the following things. Someone who's inebriated cannot consent, people. That's just God's honest rule. That's rape. If you have sex with someone who cannot at the time consent, it's wrong. At the same time, consent can change. A woman, a man, a transgender person, it doesn't matter. Whatever. I'm trying to be as open to the pronouns. Whatever pronoun you identify with, you have the right to actually take away your consent during the act. You really do. What you don't have the right for, though, is to retroactively take away consent well after the act has occurred, like with this one here. And for a lot of folks, when I was sitting back saying the things about what's gonna be the big thing with Franken, this is what I was talking about. I mean, we removed a senator because he may have touched somebody inappropriately. Now, this Aziz guy is under fire for having a really bad date. Look, women and men and people, let's just have some common sense rules real quick. If you go out on a date with somebody, or if you're hanging out with somebody, or you go to the bar with somebody, and are not with somebody, you pick someone up, whatever the scenario may be. If they invite you back to their place, regardless of their sexual orientation, your sexual orientation, whatever the whole spiel is, okay? Have under the assumption that they're going to try to have sex with you. Plain and simple. Unless the words come out of their mouth saying, hey, listen, let's go back to my place and play a game of Risk or whatever. But even then, I'm going to challenge you to assume that depending on the type of scenario, that there is a possibility that they're going to try to engage in sex with you. This is important because if you go into every encounter with that mentality, you can prevent a lot of these horrible situations from happening. You can't trust that someone else is going to make the right decisions for you. Women, you all are not snowflakes, okay? If Aziz's case is true, if we decide that this is now considered rape, then what we're honestly saying is that women have no control over any type of situations that they can put themselves into. We're saying that it's up to men to actually identify and make the decision for women. We now have to look at you and see that your non-visual cues or non-verbal cues are saying that you're not into it. And then we have to say, whoa, stop, we can't proceed. But what if that's just the type of person you are? Then now I'm mansplaining for you how you should act in order for us to continue to engage in sex. You can't do that. You all have all of the control. You can be on a date with a guy and say, no, I don't feel like going back to your place. It's not going to break my heart as a guy. I may say, are you sure? And yes, that's creepy. Okay, I wouldn't do that. Especially after reading the fucking horror stories I've read from metoo now. But you may hear that from someone. To which I implore you to say, yeah, I'm sure. Listen, I had a great night with you. I really kind of want to see where this can go. I don't want to ruin it by moving it too fast. And I know you're going to say, yeah, we're not moving too fast. But for me, it's too fast. Any guy worth his weight in gold will respect you for that. If you make the decision to go back to someone's place or invite someone over to your place, you have to understand that you are, and in essence, okay with the possibility of sex being brought up while they're over at your location. Now, while you're there, you've accepted that fact, you go, and the person tries to have sex with you there. Say no. Ask them to leave. Tell them to leave. Don't accept them to go into the bathroom or change or whip it out and start doing things. If that starts happening, call the cops. That's rape. That's wrong. You deserve better than that, and you have the right to change your mind when you put yourself into, when you go into when you go to someone's house or you invite someone over. You have the right to change your mind. You have your right to change your mind if you have a dick in your mouth, or if you guys are actually engaging in coitus. You could say, no, this doesn't feel right, stop, get off of me. Or you could take it out of your mouth and say, no, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm done. You have that right 100% of the time. And men, if you're watching this video, if you don't accept that right, then fuck you. You're the lowest of the low. That person has the right to say, no, I don't feel like doing that. That's the sum of this all. You guys are not snowflakes. You guys are some of the most amazing people that I know. You have every right to do the things that men want to do. You should be allowed to go out and drink and not have to worry about harassment. You should be allowed to go out for a run. I had a friend that went out for a run when it was -5 degrees and she got catcalled. And she's showing what she's wearing, and all you can really see is her eyes. That's pathetic, dudes. I can even tell it was her. But no, some dude out there has to catcall her, has to take her down a peg. Yes, that shit, I stand by you 100% on me too. That shit needs to stop. But at the same time, I want you all to realize how strong you guys really are. You're feminist, okay? You don't need me to mansplain this to you. But I'm doing it anyway because I want to help you. You can solve all these situations by just saying no. There's a large percentage of the population that are men But we'll honor that. We'll say, okay, you can change your mind at any time because you're a human being. You have that right. And I hope that clears up a lot. If you have anything, if you think I'm wrong, or if you agree with me, just leave a comment down below. It would really help. You can also like the video or subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try to vlog a hell of a lot more. I've been doing things with the daughter. She has her own little silly channel. It's more so for me, so I can look back as I see her grow into this amazing woman that she's going to be, just like her mother. But I'd invite you to do that because I have a lot of video ideas coming out soon. Thank you so much for taking this time to actually listen to me, and have a blessed day.